Fondue for you, fondue for you.
All right, hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Fondue for You. We have a new face in the crowd this evening. Let's just acknowledge the elephant in the room. We have our dear friend Jacob, who we know from high school, to add more thoughts for Fondue for You. He's going to be joining us when he can. Jacob, feel free to introduce yourself. Tell the people about you.
Yes, hello. So excited to be here. My name is Jacob Lamb. I am a senior at New York University, and I study musical theater there. And I happen to be really, really good friends with Meryn, Madi, and Caroline from, all the way back to 7th grade is when the four of us came together. And we've been friends ever since. And yeah, I'm very excited.
Yay!
What is your relationship with Glee? When did you first watch it?
Oh man, Glee. So my relationship with Glee is that I called it my favorite show for a really long time. When it was on, I remember when they aired the pilot months before this show actually started to see if people liked it, and I watched that when it happened live, and I was hooked. I used to buy all the albums with all the songs on them and add the songs that weren't on the albums into them on iTunes, and I was obsessed. So I really loved the show a lot. And it definitely was a forming show in my childhood. So it has a special place, even though it's a little, problematic now when you look at it.
Right.
That's awesome. There you go. All right. Well, first off, we have to ask Madi. Madi, what did you think of your third episode of Glee?
I remember going into this episode, Caroline being like, "Oh, this episode, a lot of tea in this one," or whatever. And I think it's the next one coming, the fourth episode that you said is one of your faves. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, you're right.
But yeah, I thought this was a very interesting episode. I was definitely entertained, and it's a show that I never really saw myself watching or getting into, but I definitely see the appeal. It's a fun time. And I mean, right off the bat, I have to say, hopefully it's not too early to bring back, the Mr. Shoe thermometer, the Mr. Shoe scale, which I don't know. Jacob, do you know about the Mr. Shoe scale? Okay. So my attitude towards Mr. Shoe has unfortunately gone down to the more negative side, because right off the bat, Mr. Shoe in this episode I love how I'm just calling him Mr. Shoe the whole time. That's all I'm ever going to call him, by the way. He tells the parents about Terri being pregnant. And then later on, she's like, "We said that we wouldn't do that." And he was like, "Oh, I just felt like it was right." I'm like, that was so upsetting to me. That was so upsetting to me. You don't do that. You talk to your wife, respect her wishes. That was upsetting to me. So Mr. Shoe, not feeling very positive toward him this episode.
Not a winner.
Do we have a number for the number scales? Or 1 to 10?
Yeah, 1 to 10, 1 being bad, 10 being good.
Yeah.
I'd say a solid 3.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
I just did not like that he did that. It made me so upset.
Understandable.
Yeah.
I will say listeners have been wondering what we hate about Mr. Shoe, and I do have evidence this episode, and that is that Mr. Shoe convinces his father to start law school, where he will eventually hurt Reese Witherspoon in the production of Legally Blonde. If you didn't notice that is the same actor, I couldn't focus on anything else. I was like,
no kidding.
Yeah, and Mr. Shoe is the reason that he went to law school. So.
Yeah, that's all the evidence we need. Jacob, what do you think of Mr. Shoe?
I think I agree with Madi that at least in this point in the series, even just rewatching the episode, I was like, oof, he makes a lot of questionable decisions in this one, especially. I mean, just forming the band in general is kind of a very spur of the moment thing to do for him. I think he's a little cringy. I think he's a little out of touch. But I think I definitely used to be less creeped out by him when I would watch the show when it aired. But I agree with Madi that he's a little questionable, maybe inappropriate at times.
It's accurate.
Yeah.
I have to say that Mr. Shu's energy in this episode where he's like, guys, we should make a band, really reminded me of like me, Meryn, and Madi whenever we do anything halfway. Like this show happened because Meryn was like, you know what would be a great name for a Glee podcast? Fondue for You. And I was like, but wait, Meryn, what if we actually did it? So Acafellas.
Yeah.
Speaking
I will say I also didn't love, another reason why I didn't love Mr. Shu in this episode was that he kind of just like ditched the Glee Club for his Acafellas. I was like, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah, questionable choices. I mean, he literally, like, what was the song that they did at the PTA meeting? It was like, I want to sex you up. That's what he chose to sing to the parents of the children who go to his school. And it's like, really? That was allowed? I don't know. Very questionable.
Yeah. Even the rehearsals with Finn and Puck when he was like, you're swinging a baseball bat, swinging that big old bat. I was like, why are you talking like sophomores about how they're going to swing their bats toward these women? I was like, how about not do that? Maybe.
Right.
How about not? I hated that scene. I really did.
It was uncomfy.
It's just like the classic, like, it's just like sports, you guys. Like, loosen up. It's like, oh, geez, anyway.
Yeah, High School Musical too.
Oh,
I don't dance.
Big that.
Those vibes.
Yeah.
Can I make one comment?
No.
I'll allow it. Oh, that's two
Thank
no's,
you,
Maddie.
Meryn. Oh, I am outnumbered. Okay. All right, next person. My one comment is thumb cake.
Or Henri.
Yeah.
Henri was so Henri. Oh my gosh. That was so unfortunate.
Yeah. I saw this TikTok trend that was like, what's a minor character in a TV series that has always just stuck with you? And Henri might be that. Like, he disappears, but I don't know. He left a lasting impression just in one episode. A thumbless man.
Right. It's so like tragic when you think about it, but it's horrible. It's awful.
Yeah.
No.
But they just the moment for me was just when they bring out the cake. That's just like
Two thumbs
up.
Too good. I guess I could talk about my outfit for today.
Yeah.
I'll insert a picture here of the outfit I'm emulating. Unfortunately, I am at home or at my parents' house, and so I don't have my full wardrobe to pull from, so I had to make do with what I had. I wanted to recreate this outfit, which is the bust your windows out your car Kurt outfit, which I do have back in my my home, so maybe I'll take a picture in it whenever I get back. But yeah, so
I think the line, well, you busted my heart, is the greatest line in cinematic history. I saw that this was the episode where that would be included, and I just was like, yes, like, oh, I need to hear this again, Mercedes. Yeah.
My mom also, I've been watching Glee with my parents, and my mom was like, there is no way she found a rock big enough to break a windshield. It takes a lot of like strength to break a windshield. Like my mom is like fact checking Glee's like windshield logic right now.
Thank goodness.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I also think Kurt's dad took away his car not because there was a busted window in the front of the car, but because of like I think the tiara collection or something like that. But that's weird and silly.
Yeah.
I actually have a prediction. I know that you all are you ask me for as a first time Glee viewer to give my predictions every now and then of where I think the show is going. I think it looks like the implication in this episode was that Kurt has a crush on Finn. that is just something actually no, maybe I shouldn't say like, oh, that's the implication. It's literally just one little scene that made me like have this one thought, this tiny thing, was when it's during the car wash scene, and Mercedes is like, I think she's like, oh, are you into Rachel? Is that why you're like, not, you don't want to date me or whatever? And then like at one point there's like a scene, there's like a cut of a scene where Kurt is like staring off into the distance towards another car, and he's staring at Finn, and then Rachel like pops up from like where she was kneeling. That it's just that one tiny little cinematic choice that made me think, was he looking at Finn as far as like thinking about who he was really into? I'm not sure. I could be reading too much into that, but that's a thought I had.
Interesting.
Right.
If he was talking about Finn, do you like, are you thinking that relationship will happen? What are your predictions there?
I mean, I think Finn is straight, so no, but I think maybe Kurt has a little crush on the little football guy. I don't know.
The little guy.
The little guy.
Speaking of the little guy, what do we think of the coach that they bring in for
that transition?
Speaking of the little guy.
I don't know. I mean, I think we're meant to hate him. You know, he is really mean to everyone in that group and offensive to quite a few of them. Yeah, I don't know. I can't say he really bothered me that much because I knew his purpose in the episode, but like clearly what he was saying was very, very rude.
I think he's I mean, you know, obviously horrible, but I mean it's like crazy the intensity when the girl when they arrive to the vocal adrenaline rehearsal and the girl is vomiting outside. It's just bad. But like his voice is hilarious. I love when he says, "I feel like a woodland creature." That's
That was really accurate.
Good job.
I've seen it a few times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shall
That's
we
about-
rank?
Yeah, I think it's time for ranking. All right, so listeners. Oh.
Wait, before we do, can we comment on Josh Groban as well? Can we just like acknowledge that?
He was on Glee. Josh Groban was there.
Yeah. Also,
They were
the
like-
fact that he came to one of their shows, and so they're like, Acafellas is going strong, right? And they're like, wow, like we're having so much fun. Josh Groban shows up, doesn't sign them as his opening act, and then they disband the Acafellas.
Like that was their one shot.
Like they were having fun, but apparently now that Josh Groban said no, it's over. I don't know. That was just a weird moment.
Maybe the intense interaction he had with Sandy in front of them kind of disheartened their feelings about the group.
Fair. That's really fair.
Yeah, there's stuff brought up there. And then there's also shadiness with Josh Groban and Will's mom. So
That was a little weird.
That was so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Are we ready to rank?
I think
do
I'm ready.
All right.
So how do we do it? Is it Madi first this time?
Sure. Yeah.
Ooh, okay. All right. So, Meryn, give me the rundown of the songs again that we are choosing from.
All right. We have This Is How We Do It, Poison, Mercy, Bust Your Windows, and I Want to Sex You Up.
Okay. So, I think for my, starting with the last place, the fifth place, I will have to go with This Is How We Do It, because I don't remember it. Sorry. Like literally it was like I think like a week ago, it might have been actually more, that I watched this episode with Caroline and like took some notes so I'd be able to talk about it. But I actually like don't remember when this song was, and so I feel like if I don't remember it, it wasn't memorable, didn't make an impression on me. I gotta list it as number 5.
Yeah.
That's fair. All right. I can go next. My number 5 is I Want to Sex You Up. I didn't hate the Acafellas as a group, but I definitely, my least favorite version of them was the one where Sandy was involved. And his solo in that song is just a little like uncomfortable throughout. And so that's my lowest for this one.
All right. I'll go next, and then Jacob, you can be our finale. I think my number 5 is also "I Want to Sex You Up." I have a couple of issues with this song. One is with the wardrobe. Matthew Morrison, aka Mr. Shu, why is your bow tie not tied? First question. I did not like that. Made me uncomfortable. Yeah, nope.
Kurt would never.
He would never.
Okay. I would say that my 5th place would also be "I Want to Sex You Up," because even though it's somewhat iconic in my mind, I also think it's a little uncomfortable, as you guys said, and I agree that Sandy in the group is funny. Also, I don't like the way that Finn sounds in that song when he's like, "Girl, you know I'm hooked on you." I think he's although I do, we get to hear Puck sing for the first time, which is like an exciting moment on the show. It's always fun when a character sings for the first time. But I agree, that's my 5th place.
All right.
For me, my number 4, my numero cuatro, is "I Want to Sex You Up," because also, yeah, that made me a little uncomfy. Like, why the choice of song? Why? I wasn't a huge fan.
Yeah.
I'm kind of torn for this one, honestly. I guess my number 4 would be "This Is How We Do It," because it's very short and it's pretty much just Matthew Morrison singing "This is how we do it," and then Terri coming in and being displeased like a couple times, it felt like. So yeah.
That's also my number 4 is "This Is How We Do It." Yep, it's kind of short and, like Maddie said, not very memorable. So yeah.
I hate to sound like a broken record here after all that, but I agree that This Is How We Do It is my 4th place as well. But I like it. It's a fun little transition song. It's cute.
My number 3 song, my like smack in the middle of the road here, is "Poison." And the only note I have about that song is poor Howard. Feel bad for that guy. When he's like reading oh my god, he's like, oh yeah, like I'm forgetting all of their names, but like so and so had this like amazing performance, and so like, had brought the showmanship, and then Howard, oh, they didn't say anything about you, Howard. Oh my god.
Poor Howard.
Poor Howard.
He's also like still wearing his sheets and things uniform while they're performing. I was like, buddy. Oh, yeah. "Poison" is also my number 3. This is the most, I feel like, in sync we've been on this so far.
Yeah.
Well, Meryn, you spoke too soon, because my number 3 is "Mercy."
What?
I will explain why "Poison" is above "Mercy" for me personally in the next time we go around the circle. But yeah, this one, it's very middle of the road to me. Like, I really love songs that are memorable and have characters that I love like featured in them, and this one, obviously, because it's vocal adrenaline, isn't that. And so it was just kind of like, it was really good, but that was all it was. So yeah.
You know what, Caroline? I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think you're making me change my mind on the spot. My new number 3 is "Mercy" as well. I agree. It's like a vocal adrenaline song. It's a great song itself, but it's just really good, and it's show choiry.
Right.
There it is. Oh.
So my number 2, oh gosh, now I feel like I'm gonna be the one who's out of sync. My number 2 is "Bust Your Windows." Meryn's face. Yeah, I really liked this one. Very iconic, a good time, and Mercedes has an awesome voice. But we'll get to my number 1 the next round. Sorry.
All right. My number 2 is Mercy. I totally hear what you, Caroline and Jacob said about it. And last episode, I believe there was a different vocal adrenaline song, and I was like, I just didn't feel the heart of it. But I think because the antagonist of the scene was Dakota, I was like, oh, like I actually like feel something for vocal adrenaline, and so that's what pushed it above Poison for me this round. But I totally hear your point. Yeah.
All right, so my number 2 is Poison. And it is number 2 because I want to just give a shout out to Howard Bamboo. Has a spectacular voice. I noticed it this time. I was like, oh my gosh, he's such a good singer. Like, truly a standout. And just because of him just truly shining, I give it in the second place spot. And I also think that like this group, like the vibe of the guys in this performance is like really solid. I did enjoy it. So
I'm right there with you. Number 2 is Poison, literally for the same reason, which is funny because I was like, Howard is surprisingly good, which is then like, why did they say in the article, they were like, only Howard? Well, also, quick side note, I have to like ask, how did they find the time to record an album?
Yes. Right. Oh, that bothered me.
Songs are on it, and I'd love to know. just curious how that worked out. Were they space anyway? But yeah, Poison is kind of hilarious, and like it's like the funnier version of I Want to Sex You Up, and it's iconic.
Yeah, truly.
So my number 1, I feel like you're all going to be really mad at me for having this as my number 1 now, but my number 1 is Mercy, because I just thought it was really good. Like, I just thought it was a very like polished, a very like clean performance, and like I just thought it was really good. But I hear you on like, we don't have, for like for Bust Your Windows, we have like context for it. There's like a plot, there's more meaning in it, there's like more emotion to it. So I definitely see why it would be probably your number 1 if I'm doing process of elimination in my head. But yeah, I think Mercy was actually my favorite like song to come out of this episode. I just really liked it.
That is your second vocal adrenaline song that you've put at number 1. So I'm sensing a trend.
Yeah. I don't know.
He's with the enemy.
No. All right, my number 1 is Bust Your Windows. I love that song, and the whole meme behind that, well, you busted my heart, is just top notch. Like, that is a line in Glee that will never be forgotten, and so that is, yes, number 1.
My number 1 is also Bust Your Windows, and I in fact think I may be using a golden buzzer for this song.
Yeah!
Yes, Jacob, we are allowed to, if we love a song so much, we can golden buzzer it and say that it's just S tier. Yeah, this is just great. There are a lot of things about it that make it great. The transition into the song, like it's like the classic, like when speaking goes into singing kind of thing, like so that, and Kurt's like, he like in the background of the song is like looks so stupid and sad, and it's so funny, and I just love it so much. Yeah, so it's very good.
Yeah, Bust Your Windows, number 1. Amber Riley, vocals unmatched. Mercedes.
Oh my gosh.
The choreography with the Cheerios, really iconic, honestly. And you get to see Heather Morris dance in that one, which like is like I think maybe one of the first times you get to see her like as a background dancer in one of the songs. She's killing it. Yeah, great song. So good.
So good.
Yeah. Which, Maddie, for context, just in case you don't know, that's Brittany, the cheerleader, the tall, blonde, skinny. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I do want to bring up like one thing before we wrap up this evening that I just want to talk about is Kurt coming out. We didn't bring it up at all. Yeah. And I think it's really special because, as an audience, I think a lot of people knew he was gay. They assumed, which is right or wrong, but I think it's still important, even if it might be super obvious that someone is that way, that their feelings are so valid. Like, clearly he's really struggling with it. So yeah, that was just a very good writing and a very good, like, an emotional moment. So yeah. And good for Mercedes for being a good friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of this friendship. Like I'm hoping that this friendship develops because I really like that.
Yeah.
What happened there?
All right. Any last thoughts?
That's all I got.
Any last words?
I mean, one last thing that I'll say is I noticed in this episode they like started really hammering like on like episode long themes. Like they mentioned having guts or confidence like 10 times, which I think is very intentional. So that's just like something interesting. Pick up
True.
on.
Super true.
Yeah.
And we'll have to see if that comes up more in the future, Maddie. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to this episode of Fondue for You. Make sure you give us a subscribe and like this video if you liked it and share it with all of your friends. Let's, get the Glee fans in here. It's going to be a good time. And so we'll be back in 2 weeks covering, I don't know what the episode is called. Oh, is it Preggers? Episode 4
think so.
of season 1. So everyone have a good day and we'll talk to you very soon. Bye.
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 Bravo, Julie.
Boop, boop, boop.
Yes, man.
Yeah.